Pozdrav gledalcima i dobrodošli u još jednu epizodu Moje arene. Ovoga puta neću dužiti sa najavom, nalazimo se ispred Metropola jer nas ovde čeka čuveni Bondov negativac, hollywoodski poznati glumac, reditelj, pomalo i pevač, a ono što je nama najbitnije i veliki ljubitelj sporta. Sa nama danas Robert Davi. First of all, I'm so glad that you're here with us and that you accepted the interview with us. You're as one of the biggest names in film industry, and there is a lot of things I would like to talk with you. But however, let's start from your childhood. You're American citizen with Italian blood within your veins. Could you describe us how strong are Italian roots in you?
Well, I think with any great nationality, whether you're Italian, Serbian, Irish, you have a pride in your cultural history. And my grandparents came from Naples and Sicily at a time when it was difficult for Italians or immigrants to come in, as it always is. And but they were endowed with the cultural traditions and the love of Italy, and they brought that to me: the culture, the music, the writing, the film, and early on. But with the caveat of this is America, we must speak English. So they wanted us to learn English, and it's in the blood. Your culture is in your blood, and that's from your faith to the again the art forms and your values, your family values.
You were growing up in Queens, so how was the journey of growing up for one little Italian guy?
Well, at that time, Astoria, Queens was mainly Italian. Now there are Greeks, a lot of Serbians in Astoria. It's become a very interesting place, great place. And when I was 5, we moved to Long Island, to Dix Hills. And being Italian, you were not considered white. You were considered, let's say, brown at the time. And Italians, there was some kind of prejudice against the Italian in America. But Italians didn't feel themselves as victims. They fought against that victimization. They didn't slide into, you know what I mean? And that's not saying people don't have victimization when they're immigrants. That's a true thing. But we were taught to be, you can be anything you want. You can get anything you want. And it was a good community of people and friends. Again, the faith. It's much like Serbia. You know what I mean? It's much like the Serbian people. And you have religion, you have your orthodoxy, you have your family, you have your friends, you have your values.
And you have a sport. So what were your main interests as a kid? You know, here in Serbia, first thing the kids see or connect are soccer or basketball. What was in your case, actually?
Well, when I was a kid, my sports were football, basketball, baseball, boxing. And basketball, I was not good at. I was okay. The baseball I was very good at, and football I was great at. And then the boxing, I have a cousin who died a couple of years ago, Richie Giacchetti. And there was a tradition of sports in our family, on my mother's side, the Rulo family. They played for the Philadelphia Philly baseball team, coached Penn State baseball, played basketball for the Philadelphia Warriors. One was a boxer. And Richie was one of the greatest boxing trainers. He trained Mike Tyson. He put Don King into boxing. And he trained and managed Larry Holmes. Trained Aaron Pryor, Michael Douglas, all these great boxers. So, of course, boxing was a favorite sport. I would dabble in that.
We're going to talk about boxing, but first of all, I would like to ask you about the basketball. You told me that you played it, but are you watching basketball now?
Periodically, I'll watch a championship game, but not a lot. Not a lot.
Are you going to Madison Square Garden, or you were before? It's known as basketball birthplace.
Yes, yeah, we would go there, and there's, I did a film called Blackjack about the greatest. I play an Irish priest in it, little cameo, little part, but the film is interesting because it's about the greatest street basketball player ever, a guy named Jackie Ryan, and who ruined his career, but he was as good as, let's say, Magic Johnson, and some of the created shots in basketball that he never. So in America, in New York, street basketball was a big sport, and kids would play it as well as in school. Yeah, I've been to the stadiums to watch certain games. and it's exciting, even in Los Angeles, you know.
Are you familiar with Jokic in the previous year, or Bogdanovic, Marjanovic, Bjelica?
Yes, these great
Yeah.
Serbian players.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because
Yeah.
it's always, wait a minute, there's a Serbian player that's like fantastic in basketball, and yeah, so those names were always, because they stood out, you know what I mean? And then the announcers would always give statistics and how they came from this, you know, from Serbia,
Serbia.
and you would say, wow, that's interesting. You know, you would be, and it's great for the country, because young kids say, wait a minute, I can make this dream, and the greatest, you know, and NBA is huge.
Yeah.
So they see this, and they see a national hero that comes from Serbia, a kid that grew up, whatever his circumstances were, and attained the greatest, you know, accomplishment in basketball, and that's very encouraging and great.
Also, like Novak Djokovic in tennis.
No, yes, he's another giant. I happened to meet him briefly.
Really?
Yeah. I was at a pizza place. I think it was called 000. I think it was outside there. They took me to a local pizzeria. I've been to great restaurants here, Amici's, Campagna. I've been to, I mean, so many. The Writers Club, and the Lorenzo.
Lorenzo and Cacalamba.
Cacalamba.
Yeah, yeah.
So much fun.
Yeah.
I mean, and many others. I mean, it's terrific places. But I was at this one place, and there he was, and yeah, great tennis player.
Let's talk about the NFL. For me, Super Bowl is one of the biggest worldwide events.
Super Bowl is exciting as heck. I've been to many Super Bowls, and I enjoyed them. But the current atmosphere, and I'm just being honest to you,
Okay.
in America with the sports and the way they, I don't like the propagandizing of sports.
What about baseball? You mentioned it before. Here in Serbia, we're not that much into it, but we know for New York Mets or Yankees.
Yankees.
Yankees,
I'm a Yankees
okay.
fan. I'll send you a picture of my car. I have a 2000 Lincoln Cartier Yankee car. You can show that. Maybe put it on an
Yeah,
interview.
you just sent me that.
I grew up as a kid loving the Yankees. The Yankees. America is baseball is America's pastime. It is, and I'm doing a new album, by the way, and I'm including a song that is called "And There Used to Be a Ballpark," and it's a metaphor for life in a certain way. And but I grew up. I think the first baseball game my father took me to the Yankee Stadium. Roger Maris and Mickey Mantle both hit home runs. You know, and now you might not know who those players are, but they were legendary guys, much like the guys are today. So I've always been a Yankee fan. I live in Los Angeles. I still have and I have an affinity toward the Dodgers. But if it was the Yankees against the Dodgers, I'd have to pick the Yankees. You know, but if it was Dodgers and anyone else, I'd go with the Dodgers.
Okay, and for the end
And
of
I knew
this
Tommy
course-
Lasorda very well. Yeah, he was a good, you know, because I did my first film with Frank Sinatra.
Sinatra? Yes,
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you
Okay.
about that. But just to finish this sports story, you mentioned boxing, like your real love, true love. Do you train box earlier? How long?
Yeah, just over the years, you know, just trained and just for fun. I didn't want to go into the ring. I didn't want to do that. I was a poet. I was an artist who was athletic. And like I said, my cousin was top of the game. They were twins, the Giacchetti twins, and they were great boxers, Golden Gloves boxers. And so, yeah, as a form of training, as a form of discipline, and boxing is an art form, and I followed that. I was at a lot of great fights at Caesar's Palace or other locations, and I was at a table one time with my cousin, sitting with Kenny Norton, George Foreman, and Joe Frazier. And we're sitting there talking, right? They're talking about, and there was a boxing match that night. I think it was Frank Bruno against Mike Tyson.
Tyson is from New York also, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, initially, yes. And my cousin trained him for 10 years after Gus D'Amato did. And Muhammad Ali comes walking by. And they start to have a little discussion. And George, they're laughing and they're talking and they stop for a minute. And George says, he goes, and Ali goes, "What are you guys discussing?" He goes, and George goes, "We're talking about having a comeback." All right?
Okay.
And now this was years before George Foreman actually made the comeback.
Come back.
And Ali looks down and goes, that would be a great dream. And I met Ali over the years at different places. I introduced Arnold Schwarzenegger to Ali because my cousin was in that boxing camp with Larry Holmes, who I knew very well. And so I would watch these guys train and hang and watch the inner workings of the boxing world, which is fascinating. He trained Buster Douglas for the Mike Tyson fight in Japan.
Wow.
Yeah, because they split Richie off from Tyson for some reason. And then it's an interesting thing, he said that the trainer has to get inside the head of the boxer. He has to get inside the head of the boxer. And he was taking Mike Tyson for training in Vegas, right? And they would drive about 45 minutes. They'd leave the casino, the hotel, and they'd drive about 45 minutes to get to a location that was quiet. And they do the road work there. And after a while, Tyson goes, Richie, why can't we just get out of the hotel and start the training so I don't have to spend 2 hours coming back and forth, that kind of thing. I don't. And now they're training, they're doing the road work. And Richie goes, Mike, what does that rock formation look like to you? I don't know, Richie. What does that cloud look like? Richie, I don't know. And then all of a sudden, after a week or so, you know, Richie, that rock looks like maybe it's a fox. Oh, that cloud looks like something, I don't know, like a Picasso kind of drawing. I could see a face. But he then realized why Richie took him to this. And he had to get inside his head, the trainer, because that boxer responds, a great trainer, is watching that fight. It's just like a director of a film or a conductor of an orchestra, of a symphony. The conductor has to know all these parts. And the same way with a boxer, because the boxer has confidence in the trainer and his abilities. So and there's certain strategies that they give. It's very fascinating. That's why it's an art form. It's not just two guys brawling with no strategy at all, but to witness this.
Igraj slot kazino i na sve igrice sa spin zvijezdicom dobijaš duplo više bonus spinova. Uz lot kladionice uvijek možeš više.
Nikad nisam igrao kuma, ali seriju A igram sa kumom.
Italijanska i sve ostale lige na betole.com. Igraš da dobiješ.
Ole.
Okay, you're here for filming, so let's talk about your career. Firstly, as I understood, you were educated as an opera singer.
Mm-hmm.
Is that true?
Yes. Again, you got to realize Italians, at a certain point, their sport was going to boo the tenor at an opera. Okay. They would watch the tenor, right? And that was their. So, at an early age, again, my grandparents and parents had a strong love of music. And there was always the great, from the canzoni popolari of Naples and Italy to the opera. So as a young boy, in the basement we had a record player, wind-up, with those shellac records. And I would put that record player on and try to imitate the tenors, the great singers. And so in about 8th grade, they discovered I had a voice.
Okay.
And I liked Mario Lanza. You ever hear of him, Mario Lanza?
I think I am.
Yeah, he was a very interesting, great voice. And of course, the great Sinatra, Dean Martin, that tradition of Italian singers. But the opera was very, the passion of the opera, the dramatic aspect. It's the purest art form in a way, because it combines dance, music, poetry. I mean, opera it's amazing. Acting. So I loved the opera, studied, but my film career now started to hit. So I loved acting. I loved film.
What was the breaking point when you realized that you would like to be an actor?
Early on. Yeah, it was all concurrent. It was all concurrent, you know, because when I grew up, don't forget, the era of Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin. They were doing films, and they were also singing.
Your first role was with Frank Sinatra,
And my
right?
first film
Yeah,
in
yeah.
1977 was with Sinatra, Contract on Cherry Street. I was a forceps baby. I have scarring, okay, on the neck. And Frank, when we first filmed, he came over to me and goes, hey, he goes, you're a forceps baby. I go, yeah, meaning you have struggle. And they had, back in the day, they took you out with forceps. And he said, yeah, he says, I got scars here, and they ripped my ear off and stuff. He goes, don't let those scars bother you. Use them as decorations.
That's true.
That's a sensitivity.
That's good
Okay?
thing.
That's a sensitivity. So it was like, forget any of that nonsense. Use it as a strength and use it to, you
As
know,
a decoration.
as a decoration.
But you're going to make a concert in here,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Yeah,
we're going to do a
I
concert.
heard about that.
Yeah, I've been traveling the world. I did an album in 2011 that went to #6 on Billboard Jazz. That was produced by the great Phil Ramone, 23 Grammys. Quincy Jones came to my concert, brought 17 people, and I've been traveling all the Baltics and Australia and China and Europe and all over the place, performing Italy, Sweden, Monaco, doing concerts. And so they played, when I came here, the location guy knew I sang, Miljan. He's from Montenegro. It's funny, typical Montenegro. Well, he goes like, I don't know, maybe, if we can, and they tell, he has a certain behavior that's just very humorous. So he had organized, the orchestra found that I was going to be in town, so they played for me, the radio orchestra.
That's nice.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was wonderful, wonderful players, and the sound had a very, very rich, warm, it had, that room has a history in it, and it had a warm sound. So we're talking about, and then I met the head of cultural arts here in Serbia, great guy, with Milos from Redbox. And so we're talking about putting together a concert and maybe filming it. And then I thought, I like the sound of there. I want to do maybe some kind of, I have a new album that'll be coming out next year, but maybe I'll come back if we do a concert and record some songs with them, some chamber stuff.
We're looking forward to that concert, but let me ask you a bit of Hollywood.
Yes.
From first hand, how does it feel to work there, to live there, to be part of it?
When I was a kid, my bedroom was also the living room. So the TV set was there, black and white, small television set. And my mom would watch movies. And I would be, finishing that, and I would watch these movies with them, the old films, Warner Brothers, 20th Century Fox, MGM, all the classics with Spencer Tracy, Humphrey Bogart, all the great actors, Brando, Anthony Quinn. And then my grandparents, we would watch all the Italian cinema, the Fellini, the Rossellini, the Sica, all these great films, these images. And I always envisioned, I always loved that world. You know what I mean? It was like Cinema Paradiso. Have you seen that movie?
Yeah.
By Giuseppe Tornatore?
Yeah,
You know?
I know, really.
Yeah, so you know how when you go into that film, you just lose your world? And I wanted to be part of that. And that was a strong impulse.
Okay.
So
and when you
then-
become a part of that.
So then I became, with Sinatra, think of that.
Okay, Frank Sinatra has a big influence on you.
Yeah, as many people do, as Anthony Quinn, as Brando, but yes.
But what about your movies? What's your favorite role?
Father, husband, the favorite role is, there's all part of a role that you have,
Okay.
I mean, I've done some iconic, luckily, I just saw 2 of my films are like top 10 of action films of 1980, License to Kill, the Bond film, and Die Hard.
Yeah, the one film.
Goonies is a cult classic, Showgirls, and still stuff that I did recently. So it's there's something in all of them. You go, huh? And the people you meet making them.
For the end of our conversation, can we talk a bit of Belgrade?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your favorite place to go? How many friends you have here now?
Well, of the crew, of course,
course,
which is marvelous. And, you know, it's very difficult because when you're filming, again, you can't go out and enjoy like you have. I've met, like, friends that I've cast and wonderful people, like Andreas from, he has a restaurant in the Galleria. You know what I mean? I became friends with him, and he's got a great, I put him in the film. And all the other cast members, some of the women in the film are beautiful. You know what I mean?
Food?
Yeah, I love the hot peppers with the garlic and oil.
Okay. What about cevapi?
That's tell me what that is.
It's like meat rolls.
Yes, you mean it's like a sausage.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's like a kebab.
Yes, yeah.
The best one I had, I have to say to you, is Lorenzo
Cacalamba.
Cacalamba.
Okay.
It was the tenderest, and it had the charbroil flavor, and I've had it a few places. The caterer that we have on our show, Johnny, is the best. We have a guy, Johnny, who's catering for the movie. And like I said, the pizza, it's a pepper, a red pepper,
Okay.
and there's meat inside, it's stuffed.
Punjena paprika. Punjena paprika.
That's delicious. I mean, had so many dishes. But it all, like I say, when you're filming, I'm so focused. And, but just the people, you know, and the churches are beautiful. I went to we filmed in one of the church. I went to the White Castle also, that area there, and I went to the church where the main church, what's it called, where the Pope is? What's it called?
Saint Sava.
Saint Sava,
yeah.
beautiful church.
Yeah. How long are you going to stay here?
I leave next Sunday. I have to go back to
Okay.
the States.
And are
I've
you
been here for
coming
8
back?
weeks. I hope to.
Okay.
I'm trying to put together a deal for a TV series that we could shoot here.
About what?
I can't say.
Okay, okay,
But
I'll try.
We're having a meeting on it Monday that'll be very interesting. And then hopefully the concert. So I hope to come back.
Okay, and if you come back, we're going to wait for you so you can call us and talk about something else again.
Great.
Okay.
Yes, I would love it.
Thank you
And I
so
want
much.
to just wish you a happy belated birthday.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I know
Tomorrow.
you don't like to talk to your birthday. Well, by this airs, it's like a week, right?
Yes, yeah,
So-
like a week.
Yeah,
really.
so that's why I say belated birthday. But happy birthday.
Thank you so much, and thank you for coming here, and thank you for the conversation, and I'll hope we'll see again.
I hope so. God willing, we will.
Thank you.
Nikad nisam igrao kuma, ali seriju A igram sa kumom.
Italijanska i sve ostale lige na betole.com. Igraš da dobiješ.
Ole.
Igraj slot kazino i na sve igrice sa spin zvijezdicom dobijaš duplo više bonus spinova. Uz lop kladionice uvijek možeš više.
Ispratili smo naše goste, ali nismo zaboravili na prijatelja naše emisije, Beto Le, koji iz nedelje u nedelju dodeljuje humanitarni tiket u ustanovi koju neko od naših sagovornika izabere. Ovoga puta i ja ću izabrati kome ide novčani iznos od 10.000 dinara i naravno uvećani iznos ukoliko prođemo tiket. Ove pare idu u Zvečansku.